Welcome to Word Alive with Fidelia. Thank you so much for tuning in. I titled my talk today, Be Mindful of Your Vows, Pledges and Promises. So be mindful of our vows, pledges or promises. So a vow is considered a stronger, more binding promise and is often made with a sense of personal conviction. And vows, they are often sometimes associated with religious practices like or for life significant events like marriage, and pledge is more general, like a general commitment to various situations like you supporting a political campaign or donating to charitable events. And we pledge also allegiance to our nation's flag, to be true, to be faithful, and to protect the country. We also pledge allegiance and loyalty to our constitution, to be obedient. And to vow is to make an earnest promise or pledge. You see, vows are read by couples at a wedding, promising each other to be faithful to the marriage and committed to each other in good and bad times. You see politicians pledging their manifesto during campaign, which most times they don't even keep. But vow is very important and must be taken seriously. On the battlefield, you see the military, they pledge to leave no soldier behind. That's unity, solidarity, and team spirit and love. And for the most part, they are committed to that pledge, to each other, and to the country they serve. God bless their hearts. You see the nun as a reverend sisters, they take vow of chastity to be completely married to the Lord and remain pure and faithful. Just like the priest as well, they take vow of celibacy and obedience to the Lord. Even professionals like the doctors, they take the Hippocratic oath, which is an oath of ethics that requires them to uphold high ethical standards while treating patients. We can also vow to do something right or stop doing something like from addiction or vices. So it's almost like you are under an oath to promise to do something. Hence, it is like a solemn declaration, an act of making that promise. But I wonder why we need to be under oath or make a vow to be true and faithful to any calling or obligations. If we are truly people of integrity, we should just do right. Well, I realize how fallible and sinful we are. Hence, I will say emphatically that the fear of the Lord truly is the beginning of wisdom and of all things. Because if we fear and revere the Lord and see everything we do around Him, we should be able to honor Him with everything for His glory. So in whatever we do, if we think it's for Him and Him alone, we always try to do right. Then we should not be guided through like a kind of contractual agreements to ensure that we keep to our promises or our vows or any form of obligations that is expected of us. So whether it is a vow, an oath, a promise or pledge, they all have one thing in common, and that is commitment. But the big question is whether we will keep to that promise. You see couples, especially these days, they only endure the marriage when the going is good, but when it's bad, they are out. No conscience of breaking their sacred vow and commitment they made publicly in the presence of friends and families and with the approval and authorization of the church or legal authority they want or wherever they went to. One or both couples might become unfaithful to the other. That is one of the reasons for divorce today. That's why I'm advising today that we do not jump into making promises or vow or pledge to do something for others or committed to the cause of something, and we back off and break the promise and the trust imposed on us. Unless for a good reason though, that made you not to be able to fulfill or meet that promise, like maybe sickness or life events. In Mark 6:14 through 29, we hear the story of how Herod, on his birthday, promised his daughter to ask for anything. He said even half of his kingdom because he was happy. He even gave the promise under an oath. Very high stake talk because he was not thinking. And he never knew that what the daughter would be asking for would be a costly gift. She went out, said to her mother, who already hated John the Baptist, and because he told her and Herod the truth about their marriage to each other, she never wanted John the Baptist. So the daughter came out and on the advice of her mother, requested for the head of John the Baptist on a platter. What happened? As recorded, the king was perhaps shocked to hear the unimaginable gift that the daughter asked for, because it would mean killing John, which I think was not his intentions, as he feared John as a righteous man. Hence, he was greatly distressed. But what happened? Because of his oath he made and his guests at dinner, he doesn't want to default. He did not want to refuse the gift. So he immediately sent an executioner with orders to bring John's head. The man went, beheaded John in the prison and brought the head back on a platter and presented it to the daughter, who later gave it to the mother. Just imagine, all for nothing. What did they both gain from that head? Nothing, but wasted a life. I guess Herod must have regretted making such costly vow, as he least expected the costly and inhumane request the daughter asked for. You would think that at least he could have asked the daughter to ask for something realistic and within his powers. I believe some of the things that move people into making unrealistic vows that they cannot even fulfill in the end is pride. Some people, when they need to pledge for something, they want to go high so that they can be applauded and respected. And another reason I think people make vows they know they cannot even keep is the intention not to hurt somebody's feeling. Like they don't want to hurt someone's feelings. We are humans and not perfect, even though we are striving towards Christ, our perfectionist and righteous God. We are not. So when you don't know how to say no to people in whatever they want you to do for them, that's why you make a realistic vow. Right there you knew it, you knew it would not be possible, but you're too ashamed to say no. Let not pride get in the way to act. As Christians, we are called to be honorable and trustworthy. We are to be known as people of our word and people of integrity. Let our yes be yes and no be no. Numbers 30 verse 2 says, if a man makes a vow to the Lord or takes an oath to bind himself with a binding obligation, he shall not violate his word. He says he shall do according to all that proceed out of his mouth. That's integrity and honesty. You are a person of your word. So breaking a vow is the same as any other sin. In essence, breaking a vow is a form of lying. You claim something and do not keep the claim, like any other sin. Even some people make a vow, but deep down they know they won't keep it, but just for the show of acknowledgement, like eye service and praise. A little bit of culture, I may say, and the environment can also be part of the problem. You see, people's expectations, they place unnecessary pressure on what you can do. For example, if you are maybe like engineer, doctor, or high-ranking professional, they will expect so much from you, certain amount, certain standard when making like donations, whether to church or something else. So you do not want to do less not be seen as not living to the standard expected of you. Then you just make reckless vows that you know you cannot keep or redeem faithfully. Even God our Father, I don't think we want us to make pledges or vows that will put a burden on us. Even when we are making the vow to church, either for financial support or in service, He wouldn't want that. At work, you see people sign up to volunteer their time. They are taken seriously, like you would for a paid job. Why? Because they take your word seriously. It is a matter of integrity. Do what you say you will do and do it well. And in doing so, be honest about it, even before you commit to the vow, without any external pressure nor self-seeking. As they say, a vow made in haste is often a vow to regret, which essentially means that promises made quickly or without giving it a careful consideration are likely to be broken and not fulfilled down the road. So therefore, my brothers and sisters, give vow, pledges, and your word a thoughtful consideration before making a serious commitment or promise, whether marriage or anything. Because vows made in storms are forgotten in calm. Do not make vows in the heat of the moment. Couples easily divorce because their vows lack that foundation. Proverbs 20:25 says, it is a trap to dedicate something rashly and only later to consider one's vows. At work, be committed to what you sign for. Don't be tardy. And for the employer, do not cheat your workers, nor use crafty measures to shy away from what you promise your employees during the interview. Let your promises be transparent. At church and family, be committed to your roles, for which each of us has been called to serve. Couples, be faithful to your marriage, to your vows, on good and bad days. Ecclesiastes 5:4-7 summarizes it all. It says, when you make a vow to God, do not delay to fulfill it. He has no pleasure in fools. He says, fulfill your vow, whether it's in tithe and even other stuff. It's better not to make a vow, he says, than to make one and not fulfill it. Do not let your mouth lead you into sin. And do not protest to the temple messenger. Oh, my vow was a mistake. I know some people meant well when they make a vow at the time, maybe to do or support something. But, down the road, things happened to them in an unexpected ways. Maybe like losing their jobs, sickness, and just life's events. Such could genuinely jeopardize our vows that we have made. But guess what? God understands and will not want you to be overwhelmed by things you cannot handle. Making and keeping vows is a serious thing and can also be challenging to keep. Hence, we need to first take it to the Lord in prayer, seek His wise counsel, then listen to the inner voice to let you know what to do. And then we need His providence, both in our health and resources, to be able to fulfill our promises, as He owns the future and surely knows all things. God knows and sees an hungry heart that wants to serve Him and support others sincerely and make vow. Such people make vow by faith that the Lord will provide. So I pray that He fill those sincere hearts, the sincere giving heart, meet their needs so that in turn they are able to fulfill their vows to Him as well. It's also not only a monetary vow, but in loyalty and faithfulness to follow God's ways. Be wise, and clarify the basis for your vows. Ensure it's not for show nor self-seeking. Intention is key, but for the honor, it should be for only the honor and glory of God, and above all, pray and hear back from the Holy Spirit what and how He wants you to proceed. It is the month of Thanksgiving in America and maybe some other places, though for me, every day is a day of thanks. Let us enter into His gates with thanksgiving and into His courts with praise. Know that I am thankful to you all. I'm praying that you are blessed in so many things, blessed beyond measures as the year gradually wraps up into another. Thank you so much for listening. Have a blessed day.